Welcome to Unit 2, Lesson 7, Explaining Steps for Rewriting Equations. Our learning goal today: think about why some steps for rewriting equations are valid, but other steps are not. We have 3 learning targets today. Number 1, I can explain why some algebraic moves create equivalent equations, but some do not. Learning target number 2, I know how equivalent equations are related to the steps of solving equations. And learning target number 3, I know what it means for an equation to have no solutions and can recognize such an equation. If at the end of this lesson you do not feel comfortable making any of these statements, please use class time to ask for further clarification so that you are prepared for success before moving on to the next lesson. We have one glossary term: equivalent equations. Equations that have the exact same solutions are equivalent equations. Our first question on the practice problems for Lesson 7: match each equation with an equivalent equation. Some of the answer choices are not used. So we can combine like terms such as x terms or number only terms. When I'm looking at A and then I'm looking at the possible solutions on the right, what strikes me is that I have a 3x on the left and a 4x on the right, and I notice that when I'm looking at 2, 3, and 4. So what I can do is subtract 7 from the right side and subtract 7 from the left side, because as long as I do the same thing to both sides, then it is still equivalent. The 7's cancel each other out, and positive 6 minus 7 becomes negative 1. And A matches choice 4. The 3x is still the same on the left. We get the negative 1 by subtracting 7 on both sides. And the 4x is still the same on the right. So A matches 4. When I'm looking at choice B, I notice that I have parentheses on the left, but I don't have parentheses in any of my answer choices. So what I want to do is use the distributive property, and I want to multiply 3 times x and 3 times 6. 3 times x is 3x. I see that in choice 2 and choice 3. 3 times 6 is 18. I see that in choice 2 as well. And then on the right side we have 4x plus 7, which we also have in choice 2. So equation B is equivalent to equation 2. And lastly, if I look at equation C, something I notice is that my x terms are on the left and my number terms are on the right. So if I go ahead and combine them, then 4x plus 3x becomes 7x, and 7 minus 6 becomes 1. And that is exactly what we have for choice 5. So C is equivalent to 5. If you have any questions about how to identify equivalent equations, please use class time to ask for further clarification so that you are set up for success as you move forward. Our second practice problem, my says that equations A and B have the same solution. Equation A is negative 3 times the quantity of x plus 7 equals 24. Equation B is x plus 7 equals negative 8. Which statement explains why this is true? So let's look at choice A. Choice A says adding 3 to both sides of equation A gives us x plus 7 equals negative 8. So if we do what they say, we would have negative 3 times x plus 7 plus 3 equals 24 plus 3, which is 27. So this would not give us equation B. Choice B. Applying the distributive property to equation A gives us x plus 7 equals negative 8. Well, if we apply the distributive property, we would have negative 3 times x is negative 3x, and negative 3 times 7 is negative 21, and the right side would still be 24. So that part is not true. If we look at choice C, choice C says that if we subtract 3 from both sides of equation A, it will give us equation B. If we subtract 3 from both sides, we will end up with negative 3 times x plus 7 minus 3 equals 24 minus 3, which is 21. That does not give us equation B, so that's not true. Finally, if we look at choice D, it says to divide both sides by negative 3. Well, if we divide negative 3 times x plus 7 by negative 3, the negative 3's cancel out, and we're left with x plus 7. If we divide 24 by negative 3, we get negative 8. That does match equation B, so D is the correct reasoning. If you have any questions about how to identify why equations are equivalent, Please use class time to ask for further clarification so that you are prepared moving forward. Our next practice problem, Kieran says that a solution to the equation x plus 4 equals 20 must also be a solution to the equation 5 times x plus 4 equals 100. Write a convincing explanation as to why this is true. So if we look at the equations, to go from x plus 4 to 5 times x plus 4, we multiply the left side of the equation by 5. To go from 20 to 100, we also multiply the right side by 5. So the reason this is true, if we multiply both sides of an equation by the same number, the resulting equation is equivalent. In this example, both sides were multiplied by 5. If you have any questions about why multiplying an equation on both sides by the same number creates an equivalent equation, please use class time to ask for further clarification.